Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video about fungibility and why it matters. A lot of people come into Monero with the idea that Monero solves the fungibility problem, which it does, along with the scaling and cheap transactions it provides. These are the main things that should be most attractive to new users of Monero. But I'm going to talk to you guys about why fungibility is such a pressing issue and why um, you should be worried about this if you aren't. I expect that if you're on Monero and you're already involved in Monero in some way, you probably already are somewhat aware of these issues, but I just wanted to kind of give a deeper understanding and broader understanding of what's going on the Bitcoin network right now and how it's only going to get worse. So, this is a blog from a guy that I follow on Twitter called Seth Simmons, a page about Bitcoin's fungibility graveyard. So, here's an introduction. You can pause this video and read this if you'd like to. I'm not going to read it, but it's basically a page that talks about real world examples of fungibility problems in Bitcoin that doesn't allow people to spend or use their Bitcoin the way that they should be able to if it were fungible. So here's the Wasabi section. Um, Binance account is frozen upon attempted withdrawal to Wasabi wallet for mixing. Paxful account is frozen upon attempted withdrawal. Bitfinex account is frozen. Bitstamp is frozen, or I mean is flagged months or years after. This is another thing with Bitcoin that a lot of people might not be aware of is if you screw up now, it's permanently there forever. If you screwed up 5 years ago, it's still there. So the mistakes that you make now on Bitcoin may come back to bite you years down the road if they are big enough mistakes. Um, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but transparent ledger means that this is part of the deal. Um, Bitvavo closed upon withdrawal. Here's a Samurai section. Bottle pay deposit is rejected. Paxos account is frozen. Join market. BitMEX account. Coin joins. Here's another interesting thing that a lot of people bring up. Oh, I'll just coin join my Bitcoin and that will make it fungible. Um, no, it doesn't work like that. Fungibility is binary. You can either trace the history of coins or you can't. If a history of transactions exists, like with Bitcoin, you might be able to obfuscate that history with CoinJoin, but all you're really doing at the end of the day is trading that pre-existing history for CoinJoin history. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the taint that your Bitcoins currently hold. For example, you would never CoinJoin Virgin Bitcoin. It just makes no sense. There's no history tied to it. Um, but you would coin join coins that were used on the darknet market. But at the end of the day, there's always a history on Bitcoin. It's either a history, a lack of history, good history, bad history, coin join history. Doesn't matter. There's always going to be history. Um, that makes Bitcoin not fungible. The only thing that would make Bitcoin fungible is if there was no way to track the history. It's binary. A user receives tainted Bitcoin that could cause two accounts to be locked from BISC. So I don't know if this is the report that this is talking about. I'm not going to click on that link, but basically, if you're using a P2P exchange, your Bitcoin can also be flagged because you used a P2P exchange, a decentralized exchange, aka. Here's another thing that's very interesting. A user is attacked by the media upon receiving a donation from a far-right donor. So this person may or may not have even had any affiliation with the far right. It's just somebody from the far right wanted to donate to them, and now they are being attacked because they're associated with somebody from the far right when they may not be from the far right to begin with. Um, when Bitcoin is transacted, it's not just value. It's value plus reputation plus history, right? In this case, the history of the coins was the reputation that they were owned by a far right individual. And now whoever received this donation is labeled as far right or gets canceled or whatever, you know? And this is just this is a huge problem, right? I actually accept donations on my videos. If you were not aware, if you feel like donating to me, go ahead and do that. It would motivate me to make these videos more often. At this point, I just do them when I have free time and for fun. But by no means am I begging you for money. I don't absolutely need it or anything. And I'll still make videos just when I have free time. But I would never accept Bitcoin donations from Bitcoin address because of issues like this. I could be sent darknet coins. I could be sent far right coins. I could be sent any kind of coins, and then I have this fucking problem that I have to deal with that I didn't have before when all I wanted was to get some donations for something that I'm doing, and now I have this extra layer of BS that I have to deal with. It's not how money should work. It's broken. Period. Here's another one. Multiple users' exchange accounts are closed after making donations to Darknet Researcher. Right? Same deal. Since this stuff can be tracked, you can be censored. Right? That's what it comes down to. This is censorship. And censorship can only be enacted when you have a lack of fungibility. Here, I was just talking about this, worried about accepting donations from unknown sources because of a lack of fungibility, right? What's the unknown source? Is it a darknet market? Is it a far right individual? Is it somebody that doesn't agree with the majority? Whatever. Um, Here's another trend that's starting: compliant mining. I think there's 5 or 6 pools that do this now. Marathon Digital, Blockseer. This is interesting because it's basically Bitcoin mining pools that will only mine certain transactions. They will not mine Bitcoin transactions that come from blacklisted addresses. And you would think, oh, another pool will just pick up the transactions and it'll be fine. Well, actually, if you read this article that I actually found on Twitter, it actually talks about why once a critical mass of people, 10% of censoring hash rate, once a critical mass, it's actually economically incentivized to go along with censoring transactions just because of the way the Bitcoin network works. So I have not looked super deeply into this and how much validity it has, but if this guy is right, that is very interesting. I'll put the link to this in the description along with everything else I go over in this video, so you can go ahead and read through this if you want. Scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. Here we go again. User is flagged after withdrawing from BlockFi to a peer-to-peer exchange. Why do they care you're using a peer-to-peer exchange? I don't know, but they can censor you for it. Freshly mined Bitcoin fetches a 20% premium from large buyers. This is only Bitcoin available without taint or history. I disagree with this. It's not that it doesn't have taint or history, it's just that its history is very low, right? It doesn't have much. Any Bitcoin has history. In the case of Virgin Bitcoin, the history is that it was just mined from a block, right? It's a coin-based transaction. It was just mined. That's the history of it. That's what makes it sell for a premium. It does have history. Um, the only way that you could not have history is if the entire network was opaque, like Monero. And actually, Monero, I think the only coins that are completely in the open are the block reward coin-based transactions. Lots of people are talking about how they don't want Bitcoin mined from China. This it's just gonna get worse, right? There's just gonna because this is possible to do to begin with, it's going to be done. Um, I listen to podcasts like Tales from the Crypt and Citadel Dispatch. Huge fan of Matt Odell and Marty Bent, um, except for the fact that they continually ignore Monero. Um, they're discussing lately how they hate chain analysis and how they're evil and we need to boycott services that use chain analysis and things like this. Well, every service is using chain analysis. Cash App, their biggest sponsor, I'm sure, is using chain analysis. Um, and they're saying that chain analysis is evil. No, they're not evil. They just have a business. And is it a good business? I don't think so. I think it's a net negative for humanity, but they're not the problem. Bitcoin is the problem. The transparency of Bitcoin's ledger is the problem. It's a surveillance coin. And the surveillance is happening, as we see here. This is only a small number of what I'm sure is going on. This is just what one individual has been able to gather up, and I'm sure that there's many instances of this that have never been mentioned online or have been mentioned online, and Seth Simmons has not been able to find it or see it. But this stuff is only going to get worse. This is just the beginning, and it's very scary. Um, Lightning Network and Titan coins, a lot of people say that Lightning Network will solve the problem, and it can in some regards, and it doesn't in other regards. You can go ahead and read this part and see why that may or may not be the case. Um, he talks about how, oh, I'll just do a coin join. That'll solve the problem. Well, I just went over why that's not the case either. Change it to Monero and back. Um, that's also a possibility. This guy in this article takes a very objective view as well. I really like his work here. 2 Bitcoins, that's what this will create. This whole thing that I'm talking about, it'll create 2 Bitcoins. It'll create on the same network, there will be Bitcoins that are coin joined, that are darknet coins, that are seen as dirty, um, don't want to touch them, um, Chinese coins, coins that were put through this service or that service, or used to be owned by a neo-Nazi, or this or that, or blah blah blah. And then there's going to be coins that have been um, in regulated institutions, KYC attached through their entire history, um, totally surveilled basically through their entire histories from inception to wherever they are now. Um, so chain analysis as well raised $100 million at more than $2 billion valuation to expand its enterprise. This stuff is not slowing down, guys. Chain Analysis and Elliptic are two of the main companies right now. 2 billion. That is absolutely massive. These people want to destroy your privacy. They want to surveil you. This is a huge problem. And the solution is obvious to me. Occam's razor, guys. It's Monero. And a lot of maximalists don't want to admit that, but I think they're going to have to over the coming years. They're going to have to realize that this is just going to get worse and it's not going to stop. But everybody's so concerned about number go up right now. No, number go up, number go up. Yeah, number will go up and you'll be completely surveilled the whole way through. So is that the price you're willing to pay? Number will go up with Monero too. It'll just take time. It's fundamentally better. That's all I really wanted to go over today. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and share this with anybody that um, would be interested in this. Bitcoin's fungibility issues. These are real world examples. This isn't just a talking point of people in Monero of, to make Monero seem more legit. No, this is real. This is happening and it's getting worse. So with that warning, I'll send you guys off. Thanks for watching and I hope you learned something.